Rod, you can't. They don't come from eat, so you can't just exercise and lose titty fat.
So you can, but I don't want to. Why would I want that?
Hold on.
Trust me, nobody wants to.
Wait, hold on. We got a solution here. Will C is in the chat. He said he'll pay your taxes. So look, there's men out there that like these big fat titties that put women in the overweight category, and you find a husband that's willing to pay your fat tax.
And Kima, I have to respectfully disagree. When women work out and exercise regularly, their boob sizes go down. This is a fact.
Okay, I stand corrected.
Steve, you can equate certain exercises to not lose your boob size, respectfully.
If I heard you correctly, if I remember correctly, because I'm getting old, you're 5'2", 108. I have no problem whatsoever with 5'2", 108. That's fine.
Hey, Steve, let me ask you a question. Like, with her size, she said she's 5'2", 108, triple D boob. Like, what exercise she's gonna do? Like, you see health in that? You see her?
I don't work for I don't work for a health clinic.
So I hate to be the Debbie Downer, but before this even gets even close to being enacted, we have to worry about the HIPAA laws, and then we have to worry about the legal system too, because you're going to have every dick, lick, and cranny who's going to be, oh, what about privacy? Oh, what about this? What about that? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, Rod, I want to ask you also, like, how you feel about ICE getting $100 billion and another $45 billion for detention centers, so basically $150 billion for no new judges for deportation. So basically, it's like you're gonna build concentration camps, and you're looking to hold the people there. So like, how you feel about spending $150 billion on detention?
Well, I will say this: I support 100% crackdown on illegal immigration. And we have to look at the best ways to go about that. I think that fixing legal immigration is the easiest way. Actually, the easiest way would be for us to annex Mexico, and then none of the people in Mexico would be illegal anymore because they'd be part of the United States. But welcome, Adams. I was wondering if I could get your take on my proposal here. I believe that we should have 3 tax brackets. I think that anyone that is deemed fit, and I will give you my definitions of this. For a man such as yourself, if you could maintain a body fat percentage that is 17% or less body fat, I would make you 100% tax exempt no matter what your income level is. If your body fat percentage was 18 to 24%, I would institute a flat 20% tax, which is definitely less than what you're paying today. But if you were 25% body fat or higher, Adams, I would give you a flat tax penalty and have a flat tax of 40%. And we would check you in quarterly to lock in these tax rates.
Well, I mean, as long as, every time you file your tax returns, you have to weigh in. I think that, maintaining a healthy weight and just so that we don't capture the seasonal cheaters, I think that you should have to weigh in a month before tax collection day and a month after.
Yeah, I would actually be more aggressive and say that we need to do quarterly weigh-ins, and then we could just partner with local businesses to do the weight. Like when you go to get your haircut, they could have an officially sanctioned barber chair that adequately measures your weight, and then they just have an automated process where they send your weight in quarterly. Some of you guys can get haircuts every 10 days. We could reassess all the time. In fact, but the incentive here is to get your body fat into a healthy range and make you tax exempt, so you can chase that that better rate.
Yes, and anybody who's involved in sex work, I think that you should automatically have to pay double for your healthcare expenditures. As you know, I do not support any form of sex work. Stripping is not considered sex work. For those of you who are in the last room, it is not considered sex.
Well, it's definitely work.
Well, once you go into the champagne room, you now got your Diddy hat on. That's no longer stripping.
Well, there's that. I'd like to. Sammy is in the audience. Posted a picture that looks lovely, and she was asking what is her, what her tax rate would be. And so I just want Sammy to, if you can give us what your percentage of body fat is, I'll tell you where you would fall in the tax brackets.
Or if you don't know your percentage, a height and a weight would be a starting point.
Yeah, we could extrapolate a little bit.
They're very flawed, though, Steve.
Well, no, it's not a perfect one-to-one measure, but you could get into a range and get some pretty you get pretty close.
Yeah, I said it's a starting point.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
sorry.
for those that don't have the data, I think we can. So she's 5'3", 105. I'd still need to know how much of your body is muscle, how much of it is fat. You look quite muscular. I'm gonna guess, because you look quite fit, I'm gonna guess you're fucking. You're probably somewhere. I'm gonna guess anywhere between 14 and 24, which, by the way, would under my plan would make you 100% tax exempt. So yeah.
And I'm going to say that 5'3", 108 or 5'3", whatever. That's good for.
She cannot be 14, Joe. You don't know how a woman body works. That tells me you don't know about this. Like, you've never worked in a gym. You've never worked in the gym. She cannot be 14% fat. I'm just looking at her picture.
I'm at 25.1. Okay, so I'm a little bit over.
So I got an estimate for Sammy. Sammy, this is a range. You're probably somewhere 18 to 22%, which is very, very good. You are definitely a fit person, so you are definitely fit. As far as Adams, you said 21.5, is that right?
Yes, but there's some other things I need to follow up with that. I'm still at work, so allow me to go into the parking garage, and then I'll get back.
Yep, well, 21.5 puts you in the average range, which would, under my tax plan, you would pay 20% tax.
No, 25 point.
Oh, you're 25.1?
Yes.
Then you're gonna then you would start at the 40% range, but you would have a pretty easy time to cut your tax rate in half by just doing a little bit.
Hey, Roger, what would I fall in with my 19, my low is 19?
19% body fat for you. It's 18 to 24% puts you at the 20% mark. If you could drop that down to 17%, Hakima, we can make you tax exempt.
Oh shit, I can do that in 30 days. I'm working on it.
Are you gonna have a carnival for civil wrestlers?
This is how this works.
Go on.
I don't know. Are you gonna have a carnival for civil wrestlers?
No, not at all. If they choose that lifestyle, they will be choosing a 40% tax.
Yo, but we need fat bitches, dude. You're forgetting about like how this shit works. Like fat bitches make the world go round.
This sounds like a guy that can't attract a good-looking woman, and he's probably found himself with frequent slump busters. So he's a fan of the fat.
Yeah. You know, like this plan hurts my sex life, so I don't like it.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It would actually help it. because the fat women would be paying 40% tax. So all you would have to do is say, "Hey, girl, let me help you out with your taxes," and then you'd probably be more likely to get one of those juicy fat blowjobs from fat.
Damn, that turns everything around, because like that's what I look forward to. It's like tax time, fat chicks. I'm getting paid, not the other way around.
Wait, fat girls pay you?
Yeah.
What state are you in?
That's a thing right there.
Pay you for what? Food delivery?
That's how it works, though.
I always get with fat women around tax time. When they get their taxes, they get a new.
Thank you.
That happens all the time.
Yeah, I thought everybody knew that.
I thought everybody knew that too.
Well, if we have a fat tax, could we have a erectile dysfunction drug tax?
Sure. Okay, pay disrespect.
Tax. The ED tax, whether they use drug or not, I want that.
Well, before you have an ED tax, you should probably have a nervous, restless leg syndrome tax, or what is that, Roger?
Well, I think Kristen had a great idea here, and I think what she was volunteering to do is to inspect all of the men in the country for erectile dysfunction. So, Kristen, you are a brave soul, and so what you would do is you would perform oral sex on all men to be able to determine what their tax bracket.
Poor Roger, he has so many dreams. So, it depends on how many drugs are actually prescribed. Because as far as I know, this is not something you just hop over to a drugstore and just get. So, actually, you can bypass the whole physical examination.
I actually have erectile dysfunction, and none of the drugs work. So at least for me. So how would I go about that if I've tried the drugs and let's just say I paid the tax and it didn't work, then what? You know what I mean?
Nothing. Yeah, all of these problems and everything, these taxes, they definitely bring up more problems than they do solutions. It's the whole thing of, do you get somebody weighed or BMI index, whatever, calculated quarterly? The thing could be also calculated with erectile dysfunction. The drugs can be calculated quarterly as well. So, that kind of stuff, the minutia of how each thing is done can definitely be, can be done. That's just logistics.
Kristen, how would you feel about when you go to fly somewhere, instead of weighing your bags, if you and your bags got on the scale and they charged you accordingly for the total weight of you and your bags?
Well, I'm sorry, what is the question?
Yeah, how would you feel? That was the question. How would you feel about the idea of going to an airport, and instead of doing the current way, where when you want checked bags, you have to weigh it, and if it's over 50 pounds, there's a penalty for it, right? What if instead of just putting your bag on the scale, you and the bag got on the scale, and then we weigh people collectively? Because I think what happens is there's discrimination against, it's very unfair treatment towards skinny people. Let's say you had 52 pounds in your bag and now you pay a penalty, but total, you might, like someone like Sammy weighs 105 pounds. If she brought a 52-pound bag, she's still lighter than some of you women that are on the stage.
Okay.
Yeah, hold on. He asked me the question, so I'll answer. So if that bag happens to be 50% Xanax and 50% erectile dysfunction, I kind of want to divert to you and kind of want to know how you would feel.
I think I would outlaw these drugs and have people chase their fitness through proper diet.
You can tell me how you would feel about the situation.
I would feel terrible about allowing people to put drugs in a suitcase that they don't need. All they need is to get a little bit of self-discipline, get their butts to the gym, just move your body more and eat and consume less.
I'm talking about the ones that you would be carrying.
Oh, the bags that I carry, I actually pack very light. In fact, the last flight that I got on, I didn't bring a bag at all.
I didn't ask you about the last time. I'm asking how you would feel if you had a bag half full of Xanax and the other half full of erectile dysfunction medication.
Well, if I
how would that make you feel?
If I had a half,
in addition to your bag.
Yeah, if I had a half full bag of Xanax, I'd feel really good. Xanax is amazing, but I think you meant to say Ozempic.
No, I didn't. But
Okay.
Thank you for the absolute clarification.
I would be very nervous carrying that much Xanax, but then I would just take a couple. Then I would take a couple of them, and then I would be cool, and I wouldn't care.
Y'all were just gaslit. Good, nice try, Kristen. Nice try. I saw what you just did, Kristen.
Thank you,
Kristen.
honey.
I saw what you just did. You wanted to try to present this argument, like the discrepancy behind how many pills somebody has in a bag is going to outweigh, no pun intended, the whole reason why people are weighing the bags to begin with, as though the bags are the problem as opposed to the fat person. I see what you just tried to do. I see it. But going back to my main point of contention, yes, Roger, I am technically overweight by 1 pound. Okay, so my body mass index is 25.1. Okay, listen.
Oh wait,
Okay,
hold on, Dr. Adams. BMI is different than body fat percentage. If your BMI is 25.1, then you're going to be under the 25% body fat.
Oh, well, then I'm fine then. And y'all trying to call me a big back. You see how you got, this is what you really think of me. Sarah, go on mute. Go on mute, Sarah.
I asked the question about body fat percentage, and you offered up the BMI. But if we could recalibrate this, I would imagine that based on a 25.1 BMI, I would say that you're definitely going to be somewhere in the 18 to 23 range for your body fat percentage.
Right, and I should be given a little bit of grace, because I do have, a third leg. I do have a third leg and, a fat ass. Okay, so, it all just works. It all just works. But, I just wouldn't call myself a big back. I just wouldn't,
Doctor, you also have a party hat, which is no more than 8 days old, but you've been on Clubhouse for more than 8 days. I know that.
It's because I got clipped.
But thank you for pointing that out, Steve.
Steve, you didn't know I got clipped?
No, but then again, I'm not following the trials and tribulations of Doc.
Have you guys seen the person who got me clipped back on the app since I've been
Who's the person?
CO?
I don't know who that is either.
Yeah, because he wasn't here that long.
He gone at him?
Have you seen him, Hakima?
I ain't seen him since that day you came back.
That was the day I left.
Mojo, just to make it even more spicy for you, so I just went and checked my body scan, the DEXA that I got last year when I was complaining that I'm out of shape and I went to work out. That's when I was average body look. My BMI is 22. I was 123 pounds, 123, and I was at 36% fat. And I was average. My body was average. And I was at 36. I thought it was 32. I'm shocked to see that.
I think he had these numbers mixed up.
I'm gonna post it right now.
Why don't you post the full body pic and we'll just make our own joke?
There are body pics of me all over my.
No, go ahead. You were the one telling us about these great big old titties.
You're so terrible. Remember, it's not even that big, but because I'm petite, so your sizes are different. So yeah, but stop the rumor and all that.
Well, it's
But look,
because
I'm
of the
gonna
shape of
post
them.
it.
You got them long flapjack titties. The ones that, when you get older, they're just going to separate and your nipples are going to fall into your armpits. Okay? When you got titties like that, see, that's why you need to get a breast implant.
Then
Get them lifted and get them pushed in.
talking to me like this, Adams, because next time you're like, hey, you want to go get drink? I'm going to tell you to go suck some titties.
So, Sarah, you shouldn't be doxing people that they privately ask you if you want to
He
get
never
paid.
does it privately. It's always in rooms with 20 people. You think I would dox him if it was ever privately? He does not ask me privately.
Sarah, can I ask you another question? So you identified these great big old titties. Can you describe the nipples? Are they like long nipples, like a sewing
Are you
temple?
serious right now?
Hold
Why
on.
are you doing this?
Or do the areolas like
Can
expand?
we divert back to what a fat cat is?
He just wants to know if she got some gumdrops or some
No,
ring-tainted.
Yeah,
Zan.
listen, I just want to know if the nipples look like thumbs or if the areolas stretch across the entire fucking titty. I'm just.
Hey, Roger, your defensive room is called In the Muff. So anybody
Sarah, do not answer this question, please.
You
Please
really
do
think
not.
I would, Kristen?
I don't know.
No, but
You said
Roger,
you
Roger,
did some
Roger.
other things. Since
Listen, don't make fun of Ariel. I think that the woman who had the best tits of the 90s was Pamela Anderson. She had the gumdrop nipples with the baloney areolas.
Actually, with all due respect, it's Scarlett Johansson. Thank you very much.
Currently, it's Sydney Sweeney. Thank you very much.
I love Sydney Sweeney. She is hot.
Have you seen her areolas?
I want to hear more about Adam's third leg.
Y'all forgot about it.
Wait, hold on, guys.
I want to hear about the tip of this.
Well, you're not going to hear about anything if you're talking over me. That's not going to work. What do you think the preference would be for the Prophet Muhammad when it comes to titties? Do you think that he likes the big areolas, or do you think he likes the longer nipples? For context, for those that missed the room yesterday, we learned that the Prophet Muhammad married a 6-year-old and had sex with her when she was 9 years old. So I'm asking, that's pretty out there stuff. Also, we have a special tax rate for people that practice the death cult of Islam. We are going to charge you 100% tax.
And Roger, did you also know that when the Prophet Muhammad had the orgasm with the 9-year-old, the moon split in?
Did you also know that in the Quran they claim that King Solomon listened to an ant to talk to the colony?
Did you know that the Bible / Torah says that Abraham was scared of the Pharaoh and gave his wife away, and said it wasn't his wife because he was scared when the Pharaoh knew that it was his wife and refused it. Did you know that Abraham did that?
And if any of you think we're making this up, in the Quran today or in the Muslim religion today, if you leave the Muslim religion today, you are given one chance, one warning to come back. And if you don't, they can put a fatwa on your head and kill you.
This is good stuff. We also know that in modern day Iran, under the IRGC, they have a law that you can marry a woman that's 13. However, if you went to a court with the permission of the father, you can reduce that age to 8 years, 9 months. Let me repeat that. In Iran, you could legally, with the permission of the father, marry a woman that is 8 years old and 9.
Who does that? This is why I don't live in a...
Can we just look? I'm kind of new to this, but Islam is proven to be a death cult. They want to they want to marry children. That's what they want to do. Well,
And maybe they want a cookie for the fact that Muhammad married a 6-year-old, but he waited 3 years before he deflowered. So maybe he wants a cookie that he waited until she was 9.
How did they settle on 8 years and 9 months? Like, is this to protect the predator that got the 7-year-old pregnant at 7.5? Like, I don't understand. Like, how did they get 8 years and 9 months?
They actually have a term for it, and I forget what it means. But when I was doing my research last night in this fascinating room, which, by the way, 7 for 7, when you brought Muslims up and asked them about this, 7 out of 7 times they said that she was old enough. That's what they said. They said she was old enough. In fact, one person went as far as to say that there should be no minimum age, and that in fact was praising it. And then if you push back a little bit further, they went into this argumentation that, oh, well, that's just the way things were back then. And I would ask people of African American descent if you would accept an argument around slavery if somebody was to simply say that, hey, that's what the world was doing back then. You can't hold that.
Oh, those are black men that said that?
No, these were Muslims that were saying it.
Yeah, but were they black?
No, most of them were Middle Eastern.
Oh, Jesus.
Anyways, for those of you that didn't know, the Prophet Muhammad married a 6-year-old and fucked a 9-year-old. So spread the word.
Hey, Roger, did you know the age of consent in the 1800s in America was 10? In Delaware, the age of consent was 7.
Yes, but Hikima, here's the point, right? Here's the point. In 2025, Americans say that that's repulsive. In 2025, Muslims say, that's old enough.
No, you're not going to get a Muslim to criticize the Prophet Muhammad. The part you're missing.
So they're going to defend pedophilia because of the perfect man, Muhammad.
So basically what you're saying is that they're going to support pedophilia to stay on code?
They pretty much say that, sometimes the age doesn't matter. They look older and they're bigger and they have bigger boobies, and they said all of that.
Bigger than yours, Sarah?
Actually, it's based on the age that the earliest one got her period. So arguably, the earliest a girl got her period was at 8 years, 9 months. Although most of them don't get it, that's where the age comes from.
What's up, Uncle Steve? What's up, Mojo in the house? Adams, how's everybody doing?
You're doing good. What do you think about the big, beautiful bill?
I think Donald Trump is an amazing human being. He's the only politician I've ever seen who will say to the conservatives, hey, we're cutting $2 trillion there, but not tell them about the $4 trillion he's spending on the back end. He's amazing.
Yeah, he added $3 trillion to the deficit, and he wants to be known as a fiscal conservative.
There's only 3 trillion, right?
The math ain't mathing.
By the way, the titty talk was all about science. We're doing this for science, so just remember that.
Hashtag titties for science.
You know what's crazy, Roger? Right after we finished having that conversation about, what was going on with the big, beautiful bill, and I brought up the senior care aspect of it, there was a woman who came into my office, and she was just looking to, sit down and talk about numbers because she is planning her retirement, and she wanted to explore the worst case scenarios and wanted to kind of understand exactly what she would be looking at in terms of costs. And eventually, when I gave her the cost, do you know what she said, Roger? Exactly the same damn thing that I said. Damn. It's just not right that these resources were made available for, our parents' generation, and mind you, this woman is in her early 70s, her parents' generation to be able to age in place without these issues, and, the panhandling of the generations in between have rendered these resources completely obsolete. in the fact that even if you are getting them supplemented or subsidized to some degree, you're still not coming to a place of affordability to the average person. Or in her instance, somebody who worked her professional career for over 50 years educating our children here in the state of California. So, it goes right back to the same theory that I have. And, most people would just Google things. I have people coming into my office with these complaints on a daily basis.
This is so true, and again, I'm going to date myself because I'm an old fogey, but when I was going to college, I went to community college. I did my first 2 years of the 4 years, and it was completely 100% free. The first 2 years, if I did it, which I did at a community college, free, paid for by the state. Absolutely, you're 100% correct.
Yo, I gotta ask, so what the fuck is a fogey?
Who said anything about fogey?
That's what he said, I'm a fogey.
I said I'm an old fogey. In other words, I'm 65 years old. I'm an old fart. Do you understand now?
You're young. In my room, you were young. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you just had prom. You just had prom.
Steve, what brand of cigarettes you smoke?
Actually, JB, it's interesting that you asked that because Roger was talking about 30 minutes ago about people who smoke and drink. And yes, I've been smoking tobacco forever, so I fall under Roger's thumb. I should be taxed like 40%. I smoke Marlboro 100s. I didn't even want to contribute at that point.
Steve, respectfully, we would have added an extra 5% if you would have smoked. Newports are cool, so we get a discount from Marlboro Reds.
I'm already paying taxes. I'm already paying mucho taxes for the cigarettes, but now
how much the pack of cigarettes buy you, Steve?
$12.
They're $18 in New York City.
Yeah, I know.
Shit, they're that expensive now?
$12 a pack in LA, 18 in New York. Yes.
When I quit, I quit in 2022, and they were what, 8 packs?
You used to smoke cigarettes, Adam?
Yes, I smoked from the time I was 18 until 2022.
What was your brand, Adams?
Camel Crush and Newports.
Can one buy cigarettes with government funds?
I know certain bodegas that'll take EBT for cigarettes.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
You're not supposed to, but
You know government funds come in the form of cash also.
just like you can sell your EBT card for $40 to go buy crap.
Yeah.
Steve, who's your PTR?
If there's a will, there's.
I'm sorry, JB, singing.
Who's that in your PTR?
Those are my 2 kids a few years back. It's my son and my daughter a few years back, and actually talking about clubhouse idiots. It was a couple of days ago that someone said, is that your girlfriend or whatever? And I'm going, what the fuck? How old do you think she is? And I heard 30, I heard early 40s. That's my daughter, like in her early 20s, and my son in his late 20s.
Wait, let me ask you a question.
Exactly like him.
Let me ask you a question, Steve. Now that you're 65 and you're swinging single, what's your age cutoff to go out with